Hey there, welcome to episode 152 of the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program. I am your host, Dan Hugo. We are recording this at 1:38 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Friday, January 23rd, 2026. We do normally publish on Fridays, possibly in the morning or earlier in the day. We'll make it. It'll be earlier in the day somewhere. The title and topic of today's episode, Goodhart in Vegas. Goodhart is a proper surname, if you like. If you've never heard the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program before, or if you're not familiar with Cafe Genius in general, well, let me fill you in. Cafe Genius was formed in January of 2022, initially to be sort of the wrapper around the pitch workout room, a little community outreach effort to encourage people with ideas to get up and talk about them. Pitch them, if you will. No presentation, no problem. First time ever talking about it, don't worry about it. The only rule, be nice. Don't be mean, I think it was actually. Don't be mean. Critique, but do not bash people and so on. And it was actually quite successful, really, for what it was. And the potential found in people who were willing to get up and give it a try. So it was a good deal. Generally speaking, Cafe Genius is about experimental meetups, but also about the community that exists. And I really don't like that word; it's overused. But the community of people, the people with common interests in the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem of the Greater Vegas area. So, entrepreneurs, aspiring and nascent, people actually pursuing startup ideas, even small business people. People often think that it must be tech, right? Apps, building apps. Nowadays, building apps with AI. No, not necessarily. It could be anything. Startups and entrepreneurs and actually innovation as well. They can take many forms. Doesn't have to be an app. So Cafe with two F's from Cafe Centro in San Francisco, no longer with us, unfortunately. Didn't survive much past the pandemic. It's where startups start, they used to say. It was actually a cool little coffee shop. I had been there a couple times in the South Park in San Francisco, very near the ballpark. I think today it's the Oracle ballpark. It used to be the Pac-Bell ballpark. It was the AT&T ballpark in there somewhere between. So yeah, Cafe Centro, famously where Jack Dorsey was working on Twitter at some point. But others would do the same. It was a quaint little area with a park, a real park, South Park. South Park was a street, I think, also, on which, or around which, I think, the park itself, around which the street was laid. Park benches, trees, grass, the whole nine. Very nice little spot. Quaint little coffee shop. It's a shame it's not around. Cafe with two F's, an homage to that. Genius, as in the Genius Lunches, which used to take place now and then in the Downtown Project days here in Vegas. As an employee of Intel, I would be in town now and then when I wasn't going to hackathons and whatnot. So I would attend as an outside observer, but still a part of what was going on in some way. Genius Lunches were actually probably the most useful meetup that I had been to in the Downtown Project timeframe. As far as productivity, value, return on investment of time and effort. So we tried to bring those back. Got off to an extremely difficult start later in 2025. So we'll see if we can bring it back in 2026. We already know they work, which is a nice detail. Cafe Genius then, and the impresarios like you and me were the ones that are making things happen. Spelled with two S's, a correct yet not common spelling of impresarios. B1. And maybe we'll talk. We used to do interviews in the early days of this program that will return, ideally, sometime this year. So hopefully wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, including a brief summary of one sentence. And then today's episode, we have a few links. So there's the usual two, and then I'll actually give a little bit of context for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links, is it? 5. So total 7. Yeah, I think it's 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Proving once again that I am able to count. The summary then of today's episode, Goodhart's Law states that When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. I know that sounds very deep, but it's true. So how about those tourism stats? The links for today's episode, Cafe Genius homepage. You already know about that one, hopefully. If you're new here, it's the homepage for this show. Does it get much attention? No. I have to, I'll just leave it there. Websites are always under construction. Cafe Genius with 2 F's, CAFFE, genius.org. So the host profile page, linking everything, is my coming up on 5-year-old buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo profile page. You can click on that if you want. There's no obligation to spend any money there. You'll find links to pretty much everything I'm working on, projects, audio programs, and more, and affiliate links too. But again, free. You don't have to click on anything. It's a nice way to sync up all of my links on a website I don't have to maintain. Goodhart's Law is a Wikipedia page link to it, so you can read more about it. There is a more academic sort of version of the statement or the quote that was in a paper he wrote, I believe it was. So yeah, Goodhart. It is. I'm going to give some examples that will illustrate how it's not just economic, but economics is an important area for that kind of thing. The LVCVA, that's the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority research section of their website, is where you will find all manner of statistics, pieces of data, summary. The summary is on the homepage of that site, of that page or that section of the site. It's interesting to see a lot of people, especially YouTube content creators in general, refer to those numbers frequently. And lately, through at least half of 2025, a lot of doom content, and they would point to numbers, how they're down 7%, 9%, 11%. That was always down year over year for the same month. So, but the end of 2025 final numbers. So once they put December up, and then they'll probably run some sort of analysis, executive summary or something like that. And then we'll get the picture of 2025 compared to 2024. And then there are some previous years that were almost as bad or probably worse. That is all coming soon. The LVCVA, same group, fabulous 5-day sale. I put a link to the page, which points then to the they have an actual visitor facing website that's not directly attached to their sort of business site of the LVCVA, but it's so it's like a press page. I can't remember. There's a link in there that's visit LasVegas.com, I think it is. The fabulous 5-day sale with all manner of promotions to reduce room rates, fees, discounts at restaurants, and so on. So you don't need to check that out because it was back in September of 2025. But I put it there for reference for something I'm going to talk about during today's episode. As it happens, when I was writing this, I was watching Sarah Payne in an interview or a conversation on YouTube. And if you've never heard Sarah Payne speak, she's a former professor of, well, I'm gonna say it later. So she's a professor retired from the U.S. Naval War College. What does that have to do with this? Well, one of her areas of instruction and expertise is strategy, especially grand strategy. So like big picture, how are things going to work out over time, and what should we do about that? And the interview in question that I was listening to, the specific one, I have a link to that. It's Sarah Payne on current strategy and potential outcomes. That's not the actual title of the YouTube video, but you can check it out on YouTube. There's a particular part of the discussion as well. It's maybe halfway in, but the whole discussion is pretty interesting. We'll get to that soon. So check out the links in the context of this episode, or in general. The LVCVA website is something that is referenced often, so you may as well know where it is. And now on with the show. First, those examples I mentioned, and what are we talking about? So there are probably more examples of Goodhart's Law in action around us than we actually notice. But so that we have a few to ponder for this episode, to illustrate this, we're not going to be talking about these directly, but they're examples to illustrate the concept, and then we'll talk more. So, surely you recall news of a CEO at some company. I know Apple, for example, Steve Jobs did this, taking a $1 annual salary compensated in stock, maybe stock options, whatever, but compensation tied to the stock price in some way. In theory, this is motivation to make the company successful as measured by the market and its price set on a stock exchange. Right? If a company is perceived to be doing well, their filings, their statements, their conference calls, everything is looking good and they're doing well, then people will be interested in investing in the company. So the stock price as an opaque measurement, that is, you don't always know that people are buying for day trades. You don't know if they're buying for buy and hold. You don't know if they're looking for growth. You don't know if they're looking to take profit in the next, or during the quarter. So you don't know the nature of the purchases. You can just look at the value of the stock generally. So you look at the stock, you see it's going up. Okay, great. So the indication is, the market approves of what's going on. They're confident, etc. So that's successful. But what may actually happen is decision making to drive the stock price up, perhaps specifically around a sell window when the CEO can take advantage of the increasing stock price, but also for purposes of executive loans against securities. Fun fact: I don't know exactly how many or what the cutoff is of an executive, board of directors. I've not been in this position to try to exercise this, but essentially, if you own stock in a company or you have equity in the company in some way, and you're an executive, so I don't know if that's just the executive governance or if that includes the board of directors, the company can give you a loan, or they can give you a loan that then can be forgiven. And that's easier to do when the stock is going up. But also you're able to borrow against your holdings and at a lower interest rate than, say, a home, or like a second mortgage, or what is it called? The HELOC, home equity line of credit. So, I can borrow against my work equity, if you like. So having a high stock price in lieu of a salary is a good thing, even if the company is not quite as successful. The stock price is now a goal, or the goal sometimes, not the measure of a company direction and prosperity. So now it has become a less valuable measure. I have a quantified self device, a watch in my case. You may have something along these lines as well, a watch or a band of some sort, or now smart rings are coming in. There are more intricate devices as well that you wear on your body to measure heart rate and so on. And I can see a percentage of activity goal in my case. Today you're at 90%, you're at 125%, etc. In some cases, there will be a step count or a steps remaining counter. That's sort of the baseline, like how many steps have I made today? For a while, it was got to do 10,000 steps a day. Got to. So whatever the case is, whatever your program is, it's good. It's good for you. Anecdotally, some people will strive to hit that target rather than combining dietary nutrition selections with activity level to arrive at their health goals. Everything is a system. If the step count becomes the goal, again, anecdotally, some will determine for themselves that going over the target step count is licensed to snack. The activity indicator as part of the overall plan becomes the only goal and can end up driving the other parts of the plan in the wrong direction. I've actually seen this happen. I mostly don't get affected by that because I've kind of constructed my own plan. So to me, the measurement is the measurement. But if the measurement becomes the goal, I got to get my steps in today so that I can have a snack, dessert, so that I can attend an event and enjoy the libations, the victuals. I was going to say vitriols. No, that's a different type of thing. That's not even a word. So the measurement of activity, or step counts, if you like, becomes the thing that justifies going off the plan, if you like. And again, there are plenty of anecdotes about this. I honestly don't know if there's been a formal study on the unintended consequences of tracking activity and using it as justification or rationalization for perhaps. But yeah, I've seen it happen, and I've certainly read about it, and that's another example. If you look to a dire near-term future, if turning in the homework, so it may be nearer than we think. If turning in the homework and getting a grade becomes the goal over actually learning, then saving time while making the due date for the assignment may include using some generative AI tools in whatever form they are at any given time. They seem to be getting, and put the big air quotes up, better. I don't know if that's a good thing. Perhaps instead of learning, which actually makes the grade irrelevant. If you're only interested in the grade, and so you have AI write your paper for you, then whatever grade you get doesn't mean anything. This is more generally taking a shortcut to get to the apparent goal, and when the actual goal is the actual goal is the labor that is learning. Okay, so taking a shortcut to get to the apparent goal when the actual goal is the labor that is learning. The journey is part of the gift, as the saying goes. So I can only see this getting worse. And I have to say, also anecdotally, there are attorneys that I know who have told horror stories of their opposing counsel, for example, submitting documents to the court, briefs, motions, whatever, and they forget or simply don't check to see that the whatever generative AI model and client and software or whatever that they used inserted commentary into the final output, or had a closing. I think this changes between whatever you're using, but towards the end it'll say like, is that sufficient, or do you need to know? Do we need to ask additional? Do you want to refine? So it'll do a little follow up, but they don't take that out because they don't even read. Anyway, yeah, this happens in the real world today. So if students are growing up with this and they learn that, oh yeah, you just you don't even have to think anymore. And I will say, there was a comment in a Mastodon thread about email signatures, the little text at the bottom. Here's my email address, or here's my LinkedIn profile, or my title, or whatever it is, the company website, etc. And so somebody said, I'm thinking of changing my signature to something about generated emails. And I said, just send the prompt. Right? Don't have some sort of software generate. You're going to tell it what you want to say, and then it's going to come up with some flowery, silly, whatever that we're all going to know. Like, this seems generated. It seems computer more than human. Just send the prompt. If you're not going to take the time to write an email to me,
I don't know that.
Then just send the prompt, and I can generate my own email if I want to. You heard an Amazon product talking there. I'm totally profoundly disappointed in the platform. Anyway, we have talked about OKRs and KPIs in previous episodes, especially with regard to what the powers that be steering Greater Vegas have as theirs. Those, by the way, are aspirational objectives and key results, OKR, and then analytical key performance indicators, KPIs. More simply, where we want to go or what we want to do, the aspirational OKRs, and then how far along we are on that journey, KPIs. The KPIs are the actual measurements we're talking about. They're quantifiable. OKRs are more KPIs are quantified, quantitative, to put it in the same sense, and OKRs are qualitative. Greater Vegas has been in the news through a lot of 2025. Through a lot of 2025, and remains there with some reflection on where Vegas is as a potential indicator of the national, even world economy around tourism, maybe more. Just the strength of the economy in general, disposable income, consumer confidence, stuff like that. Is the opaque picture what the news reports on, and are the metrics becoming the goal? Could this be a problem? Maybe. Greater Vegas tactics and strategy. And this was interesting with Sarah Payne. So if you're not familiar with Sarah Payne, you can check the Wikipedia page. She's a retired professor of history and grand strategy at the U.S. Naval War College. She has some interesting and insightful opinions about recent decisions made by the U.S. government on the world stage in Venezuela concerning Greenland and more. She compares recent events to the Pearl Harbor attack by Japan. Japan attacking Pearl Harbor 1941, which was a tactical success, but a strategic catastrophe. And how it was presented is a matter of how concerned one might be with those long-term outcomes. The whole 33-minute conversation in the linked video is interesting, so you can check it out if you're into this at all. It's not all that. That's an anecdote in the discussion about overall strategy and, in the modern world. So, and the point she was making is that on, December 8th, there was much rejoicing in Japan. By the way, I like Japan, no problem with Japan. But at the time, America was being extremely isolationist, especially by comparison today. So we were kind of keeping to ourselves, helping the UK with some shipping, some lend-lease. I can't remember when that started exactly, but trying to help out a little bit, but remaining basically out of the conflict. So when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, they poked the bear. Even though I think the bear is usually Russia, they woke the sleeping giant, if you like, and so there, the war was declared here and there. Whatever, the can was open, the worms were everywhere, and so tactically, the great success, sunk a bunch of ships that were sitting in the harbor. Was there a plan to get America into the war? And so they left some of the older ships. They left some ships that they could lose, so that they could be bombed and sunk. I don't know. That's for you to think about another time. However, strategically, things didn't work out well for either Germany nor Japan, and that's why America decided to jump in on the European theater as well. So I can't remember did Hitler declare war on the U.S.? Or I don't remember if we did. Did we declare war on Japan? That's been a long time. The details are interesting. I have actually read about this. It's worth reading. But anyway, so strategically, a nightmare, a catastrophe, really. Things did not end up well for Japan, nor for Germany. So at the time, but then here again, if you looked at, August of 1945, or what was it? When was, I can't remember when VE Day was. I should know that. It's, but anyway, if you look at the time of the signing of the surrenders and all that, they looked vanquished. But it turns out, strategically, over a long time, Germany came out okay. Europe came out generally okay. Japan came out pretty good. So strategically, these decisions make a profound difference to kick off a series of events. Tactically, at the time, they are what they are, right? Whatever happens today and this week and this month, those are through a very narrow, zoomed-in telephoto lens. Tactically, so I've linked to the LVC reports page with their summary info and tourism data, which, as I record this, has not been updated to reflect the full year to date for 2025. That would include December. So it ends at November 2025. As well, I have linked to the LVCVA fabulous 5-day sale. There was a cyber promotion in November as well, yippee. But that didn't get as much press as the fabulous 5-day sale. Let's make an inappropriate comparison, since this is not war but business. Some might say those are the same. Tactically, a 5-day sale may yield a boost, a fab bump, maybe, which may or may not be detectable in the data if the bump is spread over enough time. That is, the 5-day sale, you'd book your travel and your hotel resort stay and all this. It's not going to be during those 5 days. So I don't know what the travel windows were, the blackout dates, whatever it was. From what I understand, there were some constraints on this offer, but whatever the case, there was reason to celebrate, I think, at the time, because it was reasonably successful, so they say. I didn't really pay attention that much. I'm already here. So the bump the bump, if there is any, is spread over some amount of time that it may not even make much of a difference. Though I would hope they are able to track promotion redemption and revenue generation, which results, like go with where, right? And so on. Tactically, so again, we're looking at the event itself, not the impact. So tactically, much like December 7th, oh, look at that. That went really well. Tactically, there was a website visitation, running total, the website analytics. And this was reported on with some excitement at the time of the launch of the sale, the site, and soon after. There was some buzz, influencer mentioned, some sort of positive messaging initially. So yeah, soon after, during and soon after, we got a lot of traffic to the site. There was a lot of interest. Okay, great. If you are a web commerce, e-commerce person, or even if you're a content creator, there's a difference between likes on your video and watch time. There's a difference between visits to your website and conversions to sales that you can actually put in the bank. So yeah, web traffic is a measure, but it's not the goal in this case. So they were talking about it like it was the goal. It's a measure. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. So also tactically, by the way, so you can see I'm not comparing this directly to war, but we're using the tactical versus strategic outcomes comparison. So also tactically, this may have led to brighter light shining on the expense that may be a factor driving tourism down in what may be a more cautious time for some of the core or former core Vegas audience. Do I want to spend my money on a vacation going to Vegas for the weekend, or vacation, a break, whatever, celebration, whatever the case? It used to be fun. Now the value proposition is not great for people in the normal kind of the 80%, right? The middle. I'm not even making that judgment, just wherever, just the core audience of Vegas was always the masses. The sale may bring some people back to take advantage of a promotional rate, a restaurant discount, resort fee reduction or exemption, for example, but those are temporary. So you've provided an offer. Have you ever gotten a coupon for something? You say, "Oh, I don't normally purchase this because it's usually a little bit expensive. Maybe it's not something I'm particularly interested in. Maybe it's not worth it to me to spend $100 on something. Ooh, 50% off sale. Oh, at $50, okay, I might buy one." Has the $100 product gained a new customer? Not necessarily. They're purchasing it because it's available at $50, not that they want to continue buying the product at $100. Another example I'll give is when the Flixbus company first started operating in the United States, they had 99-cent bus routes. So for 99 cents, I could take a Flixbus from Greater Vegas back to the Phoenix area in Arizona, where some family live. And so I did that. Like, oh, 99 cents. I'm going to try it. 99 cents each way plus a $2 ticket fee. So $4.99, I think it was, whatever. Yeah, $4.98, whatever the bottom line was. Great. I think I did that twice. Like, hey, you just jump on a bus, read a book, listen to a podcast, and it's the same amount of time as driving. There are routes that Flix has between those two locations that don't have any long stops or additional stops. So it's basically a 6-hour run, point to point. It's pretty good for $5. Now, when you make that a $30, $40 round, each way, so an $80 round trip, you got to think to yourself, is this an $80 trip that was $5? Or is this a $5 trip that is $80? Either way, I wouldn't be as easily inclined. If somebody said today, do you want to take a $5 round trip down to Phoenix and hang out for the weekend or something? I'd say, yeah, sure. $5. Why not? $80, like, it's kind of not, it's 6 hours sitting in a bus. $5, it's only 6 hours sitting in a bus. So they didn't retain an active customer with the $5 promotion. I became aware of the product, but I'm still cautious about how much I want to spend to take that trip in that way. And I would posit the notion that something similar would go on if Vegas at its higher prices now, and that's not only in the numbers, but by the way, there's average room rates that are listed in the LVCVA research reports, average room rates and so on, and they don't seem ridiculous. So I don't know how they're averaging. So it's something to think about in general, but anecdotally or qualitatively from surveys given to visitors, on camera, person on the street, for the YouTuber crowd, people say it's just too expensive here. It's not as fun as it used to be. So that's my $5 to $80 round trip on Flixbus analog. Like, we used to come to Vegas when you could do the buffet and you could go downtown, or there were dollar craps tables. You could do the lower minimums, gambling and so on. Now it's $5 tables, or now it's $55 room resort fees on the rooms per night, and then they charge sales tax on that, and or whatever fees and taxes, nickels and dimes, and that is qualitatively from, again, person on the street, a $60 hamburger, $80, whatever it was, a ridiculous hamburger meal that somebody had. I think that was probably two people. But so these are qualitative differences. And by lowering prices, you're pointing out to people that normally the prices are high. So if you're going to take advantage of these discounts, do so, but then the prices will return. And in some cases, the prices, the breaks, the resort fee exemption, or the free parking for locals, that doesn't really impact tourism. But so some of these have been extended for longer periods, but it's a concern because tactically you've attracted more people to take the plunge at the discounted rate, but you haven't really strategically convinced people that the old Vegas is back, because it really isn't, not at present. So the strategic or long-term question, the outlook on the horizon, if you like, is whether aiming for a bump in visitation from the old core audience of Vegas tourists, thanks to discounts, will have a long-term impact, or if it was simply a way to adjust or try to adjust some key performance indicators, KPIs, such as occupancy rates, total tourism, and so on. There was no change to business models, to overall adjustments to visitor experience that would either justify higher prices or, almost definitely more sought after, a return to value for the normal folks. Reasonable prices aimed at more people having a fun visit, making the fun economy go. The fun economy is important enough that UNLV Office of Economic Development went through the somewhat lengthy process in this case, it's a lengthy process in general, to trademark that term, fun economy, and they were granted that trademark in February of 2025. I don't know if it was in time for the Super Bowl. Can I even say Super Bowl? I know that one's trademarked. Hoot for them. As I always say, whenever I mention it, I do point out the trademark. I know it was a lot of effort that went into it. Bo Bernard was driving that effort, as far as I'm aware. He's obviously an economic genius. Goodhart and my concerns, though. And I will say, just in general, the context of a lot of my comments, because this doesn't directly impact the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem, the fabulous 5-day sale and whatnot. But I'm concerned about what the strategy is, and how, again, the OKRs and KPIs. I did an entire episode on that specifically. Like, what are the numbers? What are the dials that are being turned to adjust those numbers? And what are the final outcomes that are sought by the people making these decisions? And how do they impact those of us pursuing our entrepreneurial innovation ideas and trying to make this ecosystem work for us in that regard? What does that mean? What does it mean? What does all this mean? So that's the context of this consideration. So Goodhart and my concerns, these are not my concerns. It's not just me. A lot of people are thinking and saying similar things along the lines of focus on tourism, and that tourism is declining, or was declining for 2025 compared to 2024, month over year over year per month. Yeah. One of the problems is that some people reporting on this would say, September is down another 7%. That implies, or down again 7%, or so they would select words that left some room to say, are we down 7% from August? It's down 7% from September of the previous year. So year over year, same month. So the common comparison, year over year, same month. So we are all looking at that because those are the numbers that get the attention. I would propose the numbers posted on the LVCVA reports page on their website are KPIs, but they have become the goal. The Fabulous 5-Day Sales is essentially that. It's trying to increase those numbers by lowering prices, increasing perceived value, increasing value during the promotion or in the context of the promotion, hopefully increasing the perceived value of a return to Vegas. Like, oh yeah, Vegas is coming back. I'm going to head back there, but it's temporary. Maybe at some point, excuse me, I had to get some water there. Maybe at some point we can talk about promotions like that as wind shear for aircraft. Those can be even worse. By turning tourism, rather than designing one objective, see, I jump into back in after distraction or going off the outline here. Rather than designing one objective, say affordable quality for a larger core audience with key results indicating or including positive visitor survey responses. Again, aspirational. So we're not looking for, you can do a network promoter score, things like this, but you could say, well, do you feel like Vegas is returning to, is it still appealing? Does this make a difference? That kind of thing. So it'd be cool to get positive survey responses from people who do come here, maybe on or off that promotion or both. Broad visitor experiences across Greater Vegas. That is, more people try out more of the things found in the fun economy. So if you bring people who are big fans of Vegas, and there are plenty of them, there were more in 2025 than in 2024 than 2025. Can there exist a circumstance, a value proposition where, hey, let's go check out some of the other places that we have never checked out before. There are some new restaurants, new venues. If it's too expensive, we just came here, we stayed at the resort. We didn't really have a bunch of extra money to go check out some of these new spots. So do people now feel a little bit more free to experience more Vegas? Maybe more people indicate that they are interested in a return visit. Ooh, that would be interesting. And sure, those KPIs still work just fine with hotel occupancy and total visitors and all of these as usual, which makes for easy trend analysis, even positive trend analysis. So could there be, rather than discounts to boost the KPIs, right? Oh, more people will come because of this discount. Would it make more sense to say, maybe we should look at why people are not coming specifically, like get real information, not guesses. Oh, maybe it's the price of eggs. But can there be an actual look at why people may not be coming here? Make it the objective to address those issues. Affordability, affordable quality, right? That is, I come here, I get value for my dollar, whichever, whatever currency is the origin. I think one resort, or is it Circa, or is it all the D? I don't know if it's just Circa. Anyway, one proposal I think that's hitting the news now. Canadian dollars will be treated as U.S. dollars. That is, you don't have to exchange. You can pay in Canadian dollars. They will be treated as dollars. I want to say that one U.S. dollar is 73 cents Canadian. So that's a nice promotion, right? Does it last? No. So it brings people in during that period of time. It's almost like a loss leader model, right? You give some stuff away to get people in the door. But when they're here, okay, well, in the Canadian version, I have Canadian dollars, so I'm going to experience a value, an increase in value of my experience wherever that is honored. So because that is only honored in those resorts, what's the guy that owns that place? Totally spacing on his name. The owner of Circa and the D, and is it the California owner of Circa? Derek Stevens, thank you. So he owns the Golden Gate, the D, and Circa, not the California, and he always felt a connection with Canada, and hopes this offer reflects that. Canada has always been a part of my story, so I feel deep connection to our Canadian visitors here in Las Vegas. That sounds great, but it's not permanent. So, is there a change to strategy? Like, hey, maybe we should make a return to value for our value customers, or is this temporary? And in reality, the strategy is to only address what I've heard described as the high value customers, which is a different group of people who spend more money. Maybe more people indicate that they are interested in a return visit. That's another thing, is do the Canadian people who come here as a result of this temporary, I'm assuming it's temporary, no conversion, no currency, what do you call it? Exchange losses, right? You can use your Canadian dollars as if they're US dollars. We're good. People might come here for that. Are they going to come here again when that promotion is ended? Will there be an increase in return visits as a result of these visits? Hey, yeah, Vegas was fun. We've been avoiding it. We shouldn't. We're back. And sure, those KPIs still work, like I said. So the same measurements can still work if you make adjustments strategically, and you can see those trends. But if you're only going to make tactical promotions, taking Canadian dollars as US dollars, reducing room rates, temporary reprieve on resort rates, promotional restaurants and voucher, whatever they're doing, I don't even know. All the variations on that theme. Does that make a strategic difference, or is it merely, if you have a fire sale, like we're doing a Black Friday, or we're doing a warehouse sale, everything must go, we gotta clear our inventory. Those things are done tactically because you have new stock coming in for the year. You need to clear some space out of your warehouse or your storage, wherever it is. The expense to store that, and it may prevent the storage of incoming inventory for new product. That's a tactical decision to sell that at a lower price, because the calculations show that getting it out of the warehouse is, at the end of the day, cheaper than storing it and then making room for your new inventory. So it's a tactical decision to offer that particular sale, but strategically you are planning for the new product line, this season's, clothing, whatever it is. In the bigger picture, this tactic of reducing prices makes a big difference because of the overall strategy of the whatever business you're in. Here, the business is tourism, presumably, right? And if you're just going to reduce prices temporarily, you are not trying to grow your marketplace if your marketplace is price sensitive, right? So my concern here is that they're doing strategic thinking, and then they'll just point at numbers and go, see? When you show people opaque numbers about tourism, visitor counts, room rates, and so on, you're not describing customers, you're just describing customer volume. So I think the thinking might be, well, higher value customers that are spending more money can be, they're in a demographic that may spend money in other areas, more dollars. So you're bringing in you're bringing in people that are spending money. But if you're just going to try to boost customer volume with promotions, now you're bringing in people who spend less money, but you're going to get those higher numbers. So again, the devil's in the details, as they say. If we're just looking at those measurements as the goal, then it's not really a good measure anymore. That's the whole point of this whole thing. So by turning tourism KPIs into OKRs, so they're one objective anyway. I don't know if it's plural. Bringing more people in with promotional prices. Let me fix one little typo here. Okay. We have two things to consider. One, the bump is artificial if one of the forces driving people away is higher prices or reduced value, in which case the promotional pricing and other discounts are temporary, but could not even be called loss leaders if people don't come back as a result, or if they don't spend additional money, right? If you bring people in on this discount and they say, oh, now we have more money to spend on other things, that might be the case. But is that the case? And that would come out in some analytics over time as people take advantage of the promotion. Are they just taking advantage of the promotion, or now that they're in town, oh, we can go check out the new whatever? the latest. Oh, we can go get those. We can go get those Wizard of Oz tickets at the Sphere because we saved on our resorts fee. I don't know if that's happening. It might be. Wouldn't that be exciting? Second, we see a live demonstration. If there is a measurable bump of the impact of higher prices or reduced value on tourism otherwise, or, see, another typo that I let through, of an or changed the meaning drastically. If there is a measurable bump, we're getting a live demonstration. Is there a measurable, a demonstrable bump in or increase in the numbers thanks to these promotional discounts, or the impact of higher prices or reduced value on tourism otherwise? We are going to see very clearly, discounting room rates, reducing or removing resort fees, bringing some of the value proposition of the older version of Vegas back for more people increases tourism. But if you don't get increased return visits otherwise, then you're just demonstrating that there is a reduced value, perceived value by that core population of core customers, the group of people who made Vegas what it is over the last couple of decades. Normal people coming here to have a nice weekend, nice middle of the week. Those numbers are apparently going down anecdotally because of the qualitative surveys. It's just too expensive here. And then lamenting prices, the $15 bottles of water, all that stuff, whatever the outrageous prices are. And now YouTubers have taken to comparing. And by the way, I've been saying this for years. Certainly don't do the honor bar or whatever it is in the room. It's not even an honor bar anymore. It's sensors. Don't even go to the store in the resort. They'll have like a convenience, almost like a news agent. If you need some magazines or water, some M&Ms or something. There are CVS locations on the Strip. Just walk to one, get those M&Ms for $1 instead of $10. Right. So obviously, but yeah, the fabulous 5-day sale would provide actual evidence, an actual demonstration that people are not coming because of value if they do come because of discounts. I mean, that should happen anyway if the sale was a quote unquote success. And it would be nice if they had said up front what the success metrics were. Probably just more people. That becomes the goal. While the 5-day sale is limited in scope and probably limited in impact over time, once you've used your promotional whatever that you booked, does the impact continue? It would help to turn speculation on these factors into real consideration. The value proposition is bad for most people. The overall decline for 2025 might be about 7 to 10%, my guess, which is absolutely not good, but is also not catastrophic, maybe. It's not pandemic numbers, although maybe it is. The Strip has not been empty. So during the pandemic times, you could visit, you could eyeball it. Like, wow, it looks like this place is shut down, because it kind of was. But 7 to 10%, month over month, or each month. See, I'm using the same erroneous terms. Each month, if you're seeing a reduction from the previous year of, I think the highest number I saw was 11.3% or something. I don't want to diminish that, right? That's a bummer. That impacts a lot. But if you consider other factors, the global economy, the domestic economy, geopolitical situations, but also the local factors like increases in prices and fees, and why are those two separate things? Because people often see the price, book the room, and then see the fee on the receipt, either day of per day of stay, or when they're checking out. What is this? There's an extra $160 in fees. Well, I didn't. Yeah. So, and it gets worse than that. So the value proposition is bad for most people, just in general. When they see these numbers, and they hear people talking about it. Do I want to go to Vegas, where I used to spend, just like my FlixBus example, I used to spend $500, $1,000 for a weekend, stay in a reasonable room, have some fun gambling, have a couple of nights out, dinner, a show, or equivalent. now for $1,000, I can basically afford the room and the fees, and I can go to one restaurant or something like that, right? The total value proposition is demonstrably declined. And if you are going for the value customer, that's not the way to do it. If you're going for the high value customer, well, they're not going to be so concerned about a $50 per night resort fee. So these things will become apparent if people actually dig into them. But is the KPI becoming the goal? I would say that's the problem. The bigger picture. And I think this is nope, there's one more section after this. The bigger picture. As a local entrepreneurial innovator, as myself, concerned with our ecosystem, at this point, that should be pretty clear that I am concerned about it. I look at this manifestation of Goodhart's law as yet another example of first order focus without much regard to how local small businesses, those working in the fun economy, and the long term, not the small businesses, although they could be, but generally local small business, those working in the fun economy, so service industry, hospitality, people that are directly connected to professional sports, things like this, or adjacent, and the longer term impact of the decline in tourism can have to drive more decline in tourism. I'll call it a FOMO deficit. Are we missing out? Well, I keep hearing people talking about how expensive it is and they don't want to spend $60 on a hamburger and that the water is $15, right? That doesn't help anybody. Since the tourism numbers are key KPIs, bumping them was the strategy with the 5-day sale, the fabulous 5-day sale. So we want to get more people coming in. Are they going to change their sentiment? Don't know. I came here because of the discount. Would you come back if the prices were back to what they were? No, I wouldn't. I'm only here for but you get your higher tourism numbers, which, let's think about this. When you visit the LVCVA research page, you're going to see, let me make sure I get this right. You're going to see, a nice picture of Circa, downtown Las Vegas. And then you're going to come down to the overview, and there's a bunch of numbers tallying up. They're rolling like there should be some casino noises going on. The number, did you hear that? Production by Street. How many people travel to the Vegas area? There's a total number presented. It's a 2024 annual total, 41.7 million people. They don't go into detail. In order to go into detail, you have to look at the research tab and see where these different numbers are coming from. But if you're just going to find the one number that you want to talk about in the news, 41.7 million. If that goes down to 38 million, then the talk of the town will be, it went from 41.7 to 38 point whatever. So that you got to get that number up, whatever that number is. So the goal is to get that number up so that when they talk about it in the news, it's less dire. Convention attendance, 6 million. Okay. Las Vegas is home to some of the best resort hotels in the world. Maybe true. Total hotel rooms, hotel room total in 2024 was 150,612. I think it's gone up to 155,000 for 2025. Occupancy rate, 83.6%. Here again, you want to make sure that number doesn't drop too much because fewer people are coming here. Average daily room rate, the ADR, is $193.16. Yet, we're hearing about room rates being too high. And also, resort fees are not included in room rate. So now, if you reduce the room rates a little bit, but if you get a lot of people coming here, then you can show that number to be reduced because of the average. So you add more lower numbers, more discounted numbers. Room nights occupied. There again, you want to see a lot of people coming here, a lot of people staying in rooms, so you can continue. You just want to boost these numbers. Occupancy rate 83.6%. So if you can see these the summary numbers, you want those, because these are the ones going to be in the news. You want these to be as high as possible, even in the decline, so that the decline from the previous year is not so dire. There's some travel stuff and impact of the Las Vegas tourism industry on the economy. Direct visitor spending in 2024, $55.1 billion. So we'll see where that number ends up. Total economic impact of $87.7 billion. So those are nice opaque numbers, and arguably the ones that they are most worried about. Discounts, though, do not propose a longer-term fix, addressing the things within the power of the LVCVA, local government, resorts, and other businesses, and the overarching tourism industry they have the ability. They have the ability to address some things, but not everything. What could these parties do to evaluate the root cause of the reductions visible in the KPI data and implement strategic changes over a long term, objectives and key results, more than 5 days? Actual, not that the promotion took place, not that the results will take place over 5 days, but the promotion was 5 days. Actual adjustments of objectives and real key results that are observable and which can be fed back in rapidly. That is things that can change today. Like, hey, you know what? The new rates, the new room rates, the reduction in fees, the exemption of fees, the free parking or reduced parking, all the things that were present in the 5-day sale. Maybe those are things to feed back into the considerations made by the resorts and different properties, different venues, and so on. Hey, let's make these permanent. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not holding my breath. But they can be the beginning of, maybe some of our objectives should be value for value customers, reduced prices to make the perceived value actual value, etc. The Lacey Center at UNLV, probably the office of, there's an office here in Vegas and others around the state, of economic development from the Office of Economic Development in where they are around the state. So the UNLV Office of Economic Development, for example. And the local governments, including Clark County, so county and city, there's unincorporated parts of Clark County, which is where the Strip is, by the way, do need to keep an eye on small business, unemployment numbers, which can also suffer from Goodhart's law fiddling, cost of living, and more, where the LVCVA focuses more on tourism and explicitly conventions and visitors. It's right there in the name. I don't know how they integrate their OKRs and KPIs across these different entities, organizations, agencies, whatever. Some are not visible. We're not always exactly sure what the OKRs and KPIs are of the city of North Las Vegas, the city of Henderson, city of Boulder City, Clark County. So all the various elements of this big picture I mentioned, how they all come up with some sort of cogent strategy. If they do they work together? I hope so. To what degree? No idea. I have not seen some overarching strategic vision expressed in a similar form as what LVCVA publishes. Maybe there are such data floating around with the associated analysis. Don't know. That would be interesting to know. Last section, a plug for the roundtable. This is a big deal, all this, and worthy of actual discussion. What is this going to do for people not in the fun economy? Trademark. If you're trying to form a startup here, if you're pursuing self-driving vehicles on, UAVs, if you're trying to do something with drones, so the airspace in Nevada is fairly drone friendly as far as it was drone friendly for testing. I think they've continued that. So there are a variety, water research, sustainability, great. Key industries in Vegas, manufacturing, health and wellness and sports fitness, fintech, for whatever reason. Fintech is not really a location thing, but sure, fintech establishing itself here in the greater Vegas area. That's wonderful. Will making more tourists come to Vegas sometimes, but not all the time, be ultimately good when you look at things like, well, if you're in the fun economy, if you're hospitality or anywhere in the fun economy, if you are impacted by the reductions that took place over 2025 in tourism, the slump, the slowdown, you have less money to spend on other businesses that are not in the fun economy. Are you going downtown to your favorite vintage clothing store as much if you don't have as much disposable income? Maybe not. So now that business is suffering because of the reduction in tourism, because of decisions made regarding the overall value proposition for what was the core audience of Vegas, which may have shrunk. See, that's the thing. The reduction in tourism numbers, how does that apply to different parts of the overall tourism demographic? And then how do those reductions impact other parts of the greater Vegas area, different parts of the economy, small businesses, and so on, including the people that live here? Because those are not tourists, but they still spend money while they live here, or don't. This manifestation of Goodhart's law is worthy of some attention in that format over a nice period of time through the year. What's actually happening and what's it doing to us? So that's a nice time to mention the second cohort of the Genius Roundtable planned as part of Initiative 2026. I've talked about this in previous episodes. Over at the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, I am the managing director of SAME. We are having our first meta planning meetup for the Smarter Smart City Hackathon for 2026. This Saturday, in fact, that's tomorrow as I'm recording this, where the actual hackathon may kick off around March 1st in a sort of unconference form, where participants may play a role, if they want, in setting an agenda, including schedule for the actual event. Event series, really. It's not going to be a single weekend. It's taking place all through 2026. Why? So that we can get more participation. Normal people don't want to spend 40 hours awake at a hackathon. But if you spread 40 hours over 10 months, that's not so bad. So meta plan between now and the kickoff, there will be more than one meetup. Then enable planning or maybe plan tuning the event plans up front. So whatever plan we come up with will be written in pencil. I am thinking aloud, maybe the Genius Roundtable could overlay with the hackathon series, which will take place through the year. It is entirely possible that some aspects of our smart city could be made smarter with a combination of ecosystem assessment and tools and methods developments, tech or otherwise, in the hackathon context to be a part of the ecosystem feedback loop. For example, this approach could either confuse people, which is possible, or enable some nice collaboration possibilities between, and now the hackathon does not necessarily require, there's very few requirements. The hackathon is not about, you must build a thing it could be ideation. It could be proposing solutions that are not to be implemented by the hackathon participants, but by someone else. So there's an opportunity for collaboration between what people perceive in their neighborhoods or around them and what a deeper dive into the ecosystem might reveal. And maybe there could be some sort of a collaboration in that way to come up with, what we could do, fill in the blank, remains to be seen. But as with anything that includes 2026 in the name, the clock is ticking always. And that's the deal. Thanks for listening as always. And do consider checking out the buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo profile page. Again, you don't have to spend any money there, but there are links to my various programs, Quaggling Sand, FFS Talk, this program, and of course, Let's Innovate for Vegas, wherein I will be speaking more. I did an episode on the meta planning kickoff this week. So there are episodes there about hackathons, about different areas that we can focus on with our initiatives. That is, those are not related to Initiative 2026. Initiative 2026 is a Cafe Genius thing. The foundation has initiatives and component projects. So that's more of an organizational infrastructure term. So initiatives about open transit and about information sharing and all these sorts of things. Very exciting if we could get some participation. But the hackathon, which is part of the foundation's efforts, will be much more broadly scoped. It's literally driven by people who every day say to themselves, I wish someone would fix that. This would be so easy to fix, et cetera, et cetera. So enable people to be a part of the conversation, proposing ideas, and possibly even implementing them. We'll see what happens. I don't know that anyone has ever done this in Vegas before, not that I'm aware of. So we're going to see what happens. All that you can start at the buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo profile. You can listen to the Buy Me an Update program published on Mondays. And you can listen to Coffee Solo now and then when it's published. All these are linked from buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo. Coffee Solo doesn't have a release schedule, so it's just whenever. I might try to do one today or tomorrow. Probably today. Today would be good. That's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you for listening as always. And think about when you hear numbers, are those the goal? Is the measurement an indicator of something, or is the measurement the news? Something to think about. All right. So thanks for listening as always. We'll catch you later. Have a great week. The end of January is nigh already. It's ridiculous how quickly time is passing at this point. Take care. Bye-bye.